Hello everyone, Caretakers here with Bengali Engineering and Play. We are back in the last Caretaker. Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates. Happy holidays for everyone who maybe doesn't. Let me see. We are back at the Lazarus-Complex. Somebody had asked if I could do a tour. This kind of, well, it spawned because OCD. They saw the way I had laid out several things and said, "Can you give us some examples of how you've done the Lazarus complex?" So I thought I would go ahead and do a tour just to see that this is my OCD at work. um, let's go ahead and start down here. Obviously, it's getting to be nighttime, so there's a lot of interesting things that are going to happen. So there's two things I did. I went absolutely, utterly crazy with solars. I have completely discontinued the use of the wind turbines just because they degrade very, very fast. They're not, in my opinion, they're not worth it. While arguably they're producing, they're producing 24/7, yes, but with sufficient batteries, then you're actually pretty much okay. All right, so here's what I did down here. So there's two kind of two solar farms down here, which provided the base connection power. So originally, of course, everybody who's played through probably ended up powering with the ship, because by the time you get your boat here, you're pretty stable on power. As you can see, I have 6 Lumimax solar panels on the ship, as has been true a little while. So it works. I have found that with these 6, I will go right up to max power, whatever batteries I have on board the ship. I've done several different iterations. This is actually my second official game. I've done a lot of other games, so I played the pre-update, ran that one into the ground, and ended up starting another one, which is what this particular boat is. I carried forward most of the ideas because I'd already kind of tried and trued them on the other game. I started another game after the update. I had a lot of problems with different things. So I did a lot of research, figured out what was going on and what I needed to do. I have some additional challenges because of this particular machine is old, so it has its issues as well. So anyway, we'll start down here. You see the 2 solar farms. I do have the power connectors out here on the front. These are specifically so it doesn't matter which way I bring the ship in. If I need to bring power in, I can. So that was based on the original when I first put everything in and really needed the ship. Once you get all of your power systems taken care of, then you've pretty much solved that problem. You probably will not have to connect to your ship anymore. The water line here, that was again the original, ran water and power up, and actually needed it then. Once I got all the pumps and everything running, which of course we'll tour, then we'll see. In fact, it may be a mystery because I came through just to make sure everything was working properly. I did not go down and look at the pumps, so we may discover some stuff with the pumps there, which may be unexpected. So anyway, the boat here parked at the normal dock. I did put tanks down here, and this is just, again, this is my OCD. So basically the tanks, ultimately storage down here, they're interconnected, they're not daisy chained, so the water does not have to go through these. So you can see there's just a single connection point. I do not have my eclipse light on, so this is warning me that there are some stuff. So so 4 batteries each down here. You can see they're a little bit drained right now because you can see the power draw here. There's actually 4 lights down here. These lights effectively prevent the slug guys from coming into this area. So there's enough light here that they are discouraged from coming in. So the idea is these 360 lights that are out here prevent them from getting close, and then if they do come in here, then they're not going to stick around. They're going to try and find their way out. I have not yet had any trouble with the slug guys making it all the way in. So those 360 lights are really the ones who are the workhorse here, doing everything. And then these guys here, more so just... So the power of the eclipse. So the neat thing about the eclipse, it kills them instantly, which is kind of fun. But it does burn an awful lot of power. So anyway, 4 medium batteries on each side down here, so 8 medium batteries. So this was, again, the initial power mechanism that I wanted down here. Once I had the solars, then they were somewhat able to keep up. Well, let me back up a step. They were able to keep up very well, but when I put the lights in here, these lights are really power hungry. In fact, we'll go ahead and... So you can see 7.2 kilowatts just for that light. Let's go ahead and look at this one. 5 kilowatts. So basically 14 kilowatts between the 2 big lights, and then 10 kilowatts down here, which means we have 24 point something kilowatts going out just in lighting down here on the pier. So thankfully they all have switches, but right now it's nighttime, so I did turn them on. So you can see they're taking an awful lot of power down here. This is the huge power draw. You can actually see all the power coming down. All right, so that is what I did on the dock, just laying everything out. They are interconnected by this one here from side to side. And then, of course, my 2 original ones that went out to the ship, the boat, to use the boat's power to bring power into the Lazarus-Complex here. All right, so elevator working. We'll go on up. So this, of course, is the main floor. This elevator won't work originally when you get here. It is unpowered. You do have to get power to everything. Okay, so this is a little bit weird how I did this. I just tried to get them up and out of the way, so you can bolt the extenders onto the bulkheads, which is kind of neat. So I just brought power up, and then eventually strung the water lines up. Not using water lines right now because there is plenty of water being supplied by the pumps that are here in the facility, and I'll show you that when we get there. So these came in, again, stringing them on the bulkheads just to get them up and away. As probably you guys have all discovered, is the tubes, hoses, conduits, whatever we're calling these, they do not interact with the character, so the character can walk right through them. It doesn't matter. But other things that you try to drag over them, they do interact with these. And so getting them up and out of the way, as you can see, they're all off to the side over here, just to make sure I have a direct path pretty much from the elevator straight into the room, so you don't really have to deal with anything. So I strung the power overhead. You do have 2 ports going through the walls. These are just pass-throughs. They do not do anything else, just pass through the bulkhead. So brought water down one side. Water. So I'll preface to say I've got two independent water systems. Now, interestingly enough, this one interconnects with both, and I pull off the other side, I believe, with both. Because you need water to do food processing and that sort of thing, which we'll also tour while we're here on the floor. Your main Lazarus complex here has 4 of these guys. The quest line really only has you repairing 1, but I recommend as you get, to mid-game, you're basically going to end up with a bunch of extra materials. Well, I suppose I have to preface that I'm still, OCD. If it's not bolted down, I take it. So if you are the same, you will have an abundance of materials to the point where you have no place to store them all, which we'll also show you in the tour. All right, so as you walk in here, of course, your ship is behind you. You come up the elevator, and off to this side is the medical and save bay. Off this side is the way out. Sorry, I'm incorrect. This is the way out to a kind of auxiliary balcony up there, which is why you can see the power coming down. This side goes down to the pump room, and then beyond this far end up here is the elevator, which ultimately goes to the roof, and you will have to parkour your way up to the roof originally, which is a little challenging if you don't like to do all that parkour stuff. These are, of course, the back side of the trying to remember what these are called. Lazarus rack, I guess, if I remember correctly. Oh, development pause. No human in pause. Yep. So right now these are all set up, ready to go. Back to what I was doing, you're going to have an abundance of materials. You might as well just repair everything. Now, these are the 2 lines that I have coming up. I've pretty much used everything, so the idea was that these on this side of the room actually came off of, so these 2 racks here came off of one water supply. These 2 racks here came off the other power supply, or water supply. Now, what I've done here in the middle is to interconnect these. Pardon me. So this is, in fact, the one coming in from the ship, which is currently turned off. You can see it does go to both of these systems, so it can interconnect. So I was incorrect about the other side of this, which is the water line going over here, which is in fact off this. I couldn't tell you whether it's north, south, east, or west, but over here. So I have my food production, and we'll get into more detail over here. Food production all over here, including water tanks that I put in. And one of the things you notice is that I put a battery and a water tank next to all of the racks. Now this was specifically so I suppose I could blame it on OCD, or just say this is to ensure that when you are actually producing your humans, you have ample power and water supply to handle everything. I don't know what the wattage is that you need, but you need 10,000 liters per human to do this. So as long as you have those numbers, then you're all good to go. So let's go ahead and review the floor here. This is, of course, power over here. Do have plenty of power going into or out of, it looks like. No, it is going into the batteries there. So you can see there's 10 medium batteries that are just sitting over here. The idea behind this was that this is ultimately the storage for the balcony that's above. So the balcony up there was, I suppose we just go there. So this balcony, you find, has some solar. Once you get through this room, you have some solar, and you have some wind turbines. Now what I have done is replaced all of them with Lumimax. I think this is morning now, so they're swiveled around, and unfortunately we are behind the building on this side, so they do not track well. Until the sun comes around. I don't know which side it comes around, but I presume it will come around this way given the angle that they're at right now. So eventually you will get some pretty good sunlight production, electricity production from all of this. So this is the other solar array. So originally this was solars and then wind turbines on this side. Again, because they degrade so fast, I've pretty much discontinued the use of the turbines completely. I like the 24/7, yes, but when you literally have to carry all your materials up here to keep them repaired, and you need a broad spattering of materials if you've gone for a while. So I just stopped using them. Not worth it. With enough batteries, then your solar produces 100%. Arguably half the day, because your days, of course, are only days. Sun is only shining half the day. So, but you store all that energy into batteries, which is why I put all those down there, and you get to save all that. So the idea is, with the solars producing 100%, then you charge up the batteries enough that you can run through the night hours with no issues. And eventually, if you've done your solar balancing correctly, hard to do, but you kind of watch and see what it's producing. And again, if you look at any number of these, you see cable extenders here. It doesn't necessarily give you a number where it says 0 watt hours over 0 watt hours, but that number there, in this case equalized, because it's set to equalize, you can see the amount of wattage going through at any given moment. So you can do some pretty good balancing. Okay, my usage on my way out of the batteries is X, so I need to produce during the day in excess of that, so I can store it in the batteries. So the idea is, when you're at nighttime doing your draw, that you are in fact under your solar capacity to do the draw. So the idea is the solars are going to keep up and exceed during the day, and then all of that excess will go into the batteries, and eventually you will be able to power overnight and get them all charged up. So clearly all these guys are struggling just a little, but right now you can see that power is going in to these guys, except for a couple. No, it's because this is in this case, dual connection points, but this is the singular connection point, which is going in, and then it's distributing in both directions here. And again, your save game and health over here. All right, so that is the balcony, which we'll eventually do, and then I've just put 10 medium batteries here. In my original playthrough, it was like 5 batteries everywhere. The numbers don't match because these are 6 kilowatt hour batteries, so that turns into 30 instead of 25, but yeah. So 5 was just number, so here's 10. So 60 kilowatts, 60 kilowatt hours of storage over here, but it was 10 because they fit. So I wasn't really trying to go through the numbers and go crazy there. in this case, again, I've got a battery and a water tank next to each of the Lazarus racks. Okay, over here is the production area. When you first arrive here, you do have a recycler and a fabricator. So those are right here, the originals. I ended up putting down, you'll fill this set of boxes. So this is, I think this is actually 12 boxes here. Let me look. Yep. So 12 boxes here. These are the 40 volt, or what is this called? 40 hold. I've colorized these with my standard colorization, so I came up with a colorization scheme that kind of matches what the elements are. Not perfectly, but close enough. Close enough for government work, as they say. So in this case, we have all this power. Kind of looks like a Christmas tree there. So we have water going up, because eventually when you grow the coffee things, and maybe they finished everything. I think in the original version you got the coffee seed, but it didn't seem to do anything. You grew it to the point where it says fully grown or mature, maybe. I think it said mature. But there wasn't really any way to harvest or anything, at least that I found. So anyway, this was in preparation. So again, this is my second full playthrough, which was actually created before the update. I did discover that ultimately I could use the saves from my update. I did start a new game all the way over, made it through Sanctuary 37, and I was just about to launch, and was like, you know what, let me go ahead and just fight a little bit and figure out what's wrong with these other, why it wouldn't load, and eventually I did discover. Okay, so we have all this power coming down from the roof, which is power down, so stringing all the power all the way down. 4 batteries over here, 4 medium batteries, and then this feeds in, as you can see, to the power usage down here. So going into storage over here, powering all of the equipment, all of the Lazarus racks, the batteries, everything that is in the center here of the Lazarus complex. Okay, so 12. When you finish cleaning up the Lazarus complex, you're going to have a boatload of materials. So I decided I'm going to leave them all here. I have plenty of materials on the boat. There was no reason to hoard any more of them on the boat, so why not? So I left all these here. There are some up on the roof, but once you finish your repairs on the roof, that's really all you're going to do up there, is do some repairs when you need to. Especially if you fight the angels, then you're going to, need some repair parts up there. So 12 boxes here, including the red one here, which would normally be for ammo and that sort of thing. I don't believe I have any ammo here. So just carry ammo with me. So all of your stuff here, you can turn this off if you want to. At idle, this takes very little. It's only taking 100 watts. So 100 watts, not a big deal. But we'll go ahead and turn that off just because the other one's already off. So this is kind of my production area. So all of my foodage stuff is over here. So these are what ultimately, so if you go through and look at, so this is the build menu, maybe, nope, doesn't show you there. Sorry, let me go skills, there we are. So if we go through and look at all the food products that you can build, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So there are 12 different food items that have different properties that you can put into your humans as you're creating them. So the idea behind these is that I basically separated them out into 4, 4, and 4. Convenient for 12s. So I made a bunch. When you have nothing better to do and have just a boatload of materials, then why not? So that's what these 3 boxes are here. The other side is full, and then this side. Okay, that is produced. So update. What did one of the things that the update did was, so your recycler over here, we used to be able to just dump all those different biomaterials into the recycler and it would come out as the food products, right? Which is to say, I think, yeah, so this is all of your different bio stuff, and then this is all of your food product. So protein, carbohydrates, fat, omega-3, and then you have some others when you refine, what's the red stuff? The red stuff, bioflesh. Yeah, so if you go shark hunting an awful lot, which I do, as you can see there, so you'll get those from angels, you'll get them from sharks, you'll get them from the big roller balls. I forget what, roller bob or something like that. Anyway, the white roller balls. You don't get them from the slightly smaller gray roller balls. You only get them from the white. So that bioflesh is out there. If you do a lot of angel hunting, where I don't like the angels. Now, I have to caveat that by saying the angels are passive as long as you don't attack them. The exceptions to that are if you are attacking a rollerball, then they join in the fray, which is unfortunate because it has nothing to do with them, but that's my experience so far, is that if you take on a rollerball, then all of a sudden, if the angels are there, you will get the angels joining in, which means now you have to take out all the angels. The update brought a brand new flavor of angels. There's the regular angels, which I've found can take 3 sniper rods before coming down. The military version, which has better armaments, will take 6 or 7. If you have a glancing shot, it's going to be 7. But also the rods. The rods are the big guys, which really pack a punch. Same for the sharks, is going to be 6 or 7 shots, depending on what's going on. So, but hey, shark farming, angel farming, you get a whole lot of biomaterial there. All right, storage. So again, this is the resultant of OCD. I pick up everything. So there's nothing left on any of the platforms I visit, from the habitats to the reserve stations, the refueling stations. I clear it all and just carry the materials away. There's really no reason to revisit any of those. There's nothing there. So once you pick up all that material, take your fuel, then you walk away, never come back. So I take all those materials with me. This, because it's a big complex, just decided, okay, I'm going to put that all here. The other half, which is still sitting on the boat, is actually going to go to Exodus Station. So I have not gone back over there from the update, but I do need to go over there, which is really to say I need to get it. It's multifaceted. Now that the update's there, you've got 2 new. I don't know if I can get to them in game or not. Anyway, 2 new achievements. You put a teddy bear in, and you put 100. It says survival notes, and so you've got the colonial note, and you've got the United States survival note. So I presume it's the United States survival note, but you put 100 of those into the rocket capsule and launch it into space. So that's an achievement. So the teddy bear achievement and the notes achievement. So I have not done that yet, which means I need to go get seeds, need to, come back here, develop the humans, then go to Exodus and launch them and launch the notes and teddy bear at the same time, which should get me, I'm hoping, those two achievements. For those of you who are playing, there's that. For those of you who have been playing a bit, you know that, let me put this in here. That was my testing. There's still some things that are wonky in terms of the achievements. So, for example, there's probably 100 things that I've built right here at Lazarus, and the builder robot, whichever one that is, it says build 100 things. That's still at 0. Okay, so between Sanctuary 37 here. Exodus Station, I'm very confident that I have built more than 100 items, so that's still not working. I did notice the death counter is starting to work. So I got into some arguments with with some military angels. I happened to be on my ship, my boat, and there's some interesting interactions. So the boat can hit the angels, and the angels are completely unaffected. So however the angels move, so if they shove into your ship will go underwater and capsize, and all the joys that go with that. So I don't know why those two physics engines don't get along, but clearly they don't. So I had 3 or 4 deaths by way of the boat doing the boat wonkies, with unfortunately me on board, and so it throws you around until you're dead. So anyway, had to go through about 3 deaths before I could get to the point where the angels were not directly interacting with the boat, and then I could actually use the boat again. So fun. All right, so this is my production area, my main storage of stuff, and then this is just unfiltered, unsorted stuff. So this is also 12 containers plus 3 more containers on the back wall there. So 15 containers down here, 6 of them with nothing in them currently, but who knows what happens. So this is just becoming my storage warehouse. I just pulled 10 unfiltered boxes, 40 holds off the ship, just to get it off the ship. So I was here and thought, yeah, that's convenient. I'll put it all here. So now that you can no longer put the biomaterial through the recycler, they have given us 2 items. Here we go. So we have our Soil Forge and our Soil Forge Prime. I've tried both of these, so obviously I have both of them unlocked. I tried to use this, which is to say the Soil Forge Prime, and it says produces food material from bio at a faster rate. I presumed that it just does the same thing as the Soil Forge, but does it faster and produces methane. I got it to produce methane. I couldn't get it to produce any food products, so threw it all in there and wouldn't do anything. So I don't know if that's my game or if there's something that is still buggy about that. On the good side, the Soil Forge itself works just fine. You throw your biomaterial in, it pitches, so kind of hard to see this little kind of loopy thing here on the back, and then it pitches it out the top. Now, I don't really like that. I much prefer it go into an inventory somewhere. I would really like it to be able to do it, but it literally pitches it out on the floor. So you have to be careful where you put these, because it's literally pitching those out, the little cubes, out onto the floor, out onto the deck. So probably not a good place to put it on your ship. There's probably on the bow you could get away with it, because you've got that riser in the front, going around the entire bow. But the problem with the ship, of course, things can wash off the ship, and frequently do. So kind of have to be careful there. If you're policing it, collecting it all, you might be all right. But I would much rather if this was just pitching it into a container, or if you had the ability to hook up a container to it in some way. But does not. Just pitches it out on the floor. So Soil Forge working fine, apparently. I didn't notice any problems with it. This one, I can get it to produce methane. I cannot get it to produce the regular food materials. So not sure. Haven't tried the food processor since the update, so don't know. So I can't speak to that one. I presume it's still working. All right, off we go here. So this is my storage and production area for both food and materials. Let's go down and look and see what our see what our water production is doing. I don't see any water moving, but all the tanks are full. So I put 8 tanks over here. These are actually independent, as you can see. So I bring up the 2 independent lines. So this one goes to these 4 tanks on this side. This inner line here goes to these 4 tanks. So I kept the 2 systems completely separate. Then again, everything, if you see my reticle here on the screen, let me put it up a little higher. Everything to the left of the reticle, those 2 are using one system, the other side are using the other system. The water coming up from the ship can feed either system or both, depending on how I have my lines. And then everything on the right side here, actually the right side system goes to powering the food portion, as well as what would ultimately be the planters on the roof. I do not have the planters on the roof. I do have some of the coffee seeds. I've not done it in this game because they didn't do anything in the last one. So I presume we can do something, but I will experiment with that. All right, on we go in. We have an elevator over here. Oh boy, I see stuff. So the interesting part of taking a save game from the previous, you find stuff like this. Excuse me a moment. You find stuff like this having come from the updates, just random stuff. Monitor. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and grind all this down just to get it out of the way. Okay, so clearly we have some problems here. So everything has been disconnected. In fact, disconnected to the point of One is missing. Huh. One is completely missing. Well, hey, the things you discover. I should have looked at all this ahead of time. I don't have any idea where these go. So you can see there's two down there. That one ends right there. So that explains all that. Okay, triggered that. Alright, so we're going to have to put all these back in, but I won't do that on camera mostly because it doesn't really matter. So somewhere down there, yeah, so I have power down there. I may have to bring power down. Alright. Nonetheless, we'll do our tour. It looks like none of this is actually functioning, so I should have two lines and power going up, and you can see there is not. There's not. Huh. So that one's missing. Yeah. And they just stay like. Alright, on we go. Otherwise I'll go totally OCD on you guys, and that would not be good for anyone. So power and two independent lines, which ultimately we're supposed to go up there and then connect onto the world. So some of that missing may just be, you know, simple enough because of the update. There's only one bulkhead pass-through, so it is going through here. Now the question is, I did not change the batteries down here. Alright, so we have, turn that off. We have 4 pumps. Now, I suppose I should caveat, I do use mods. Now, my first playthrough was my first playthrough, but this is EA, so, which is early access, so you never know where the devs are going to take the game. So what I like to do in my own personal gameplay style is to play through a game complete, at least as far as I can go. If the game is not complete, it's not complete, but play as far as I can go. And then there's a lot of very creative people out there who do mods, and some of the mods are just absolutely awesome. So one of the mods is a battery mod. It basically unlocks the large battery, which is in the game. It's there. Whether you use it or not, it is pricey. It is 3 times the size of a medium battery. So that's what these guys are over here. There's 2 of them. Sorry, 2 of them over here in the corner. So originally I was going through. These do really well, but I've found some issues where they don't seem to recharge, and I think it's about the equalize thing. When you have medium batteries, which are 6 kilowatts, 6 kilowatt hours, versus these large, which are 18 kilowatts, there's no such thing as equal. So if we equalize, we are never going to get the large batteries above 6. So I've noticed that odd interaction. If you use all mediums or all large, you're good to go. But if you're using a mix, like you updated, you know, why am I using large batteries? A, I can. B, I have nothing else to spend materials on. So I don't mind using expensive things because I have the materials. I've got to use them for something. Alright, babble babble. So mods are out there. There are some really good mods. One of the mods I use is the container mod, which either doubles or quadruples the size of the kilograms it can store. Love that mod. I'm a real fan of inventory. So having some place I can store everything is really good. If I can store things in one box that would normally take 4 boxes, I'm all for it. So I use those. There's another mod that's specifically for the tanks, which is the same thing. You have either a 2 times or a 4 times. I'm using the 4 times. There is a battery unlock, which unlocks this large battery, so I am using that. I'm presuming eventually the devs will put that in the game. Is it worth it? Probably not. The materials that you spend on the large batteries versus only 3 times the power, if you have nothing but materials, then go for it. Otherwise, probably not a very economical thing. Alright, so if we look at the numbers here, this can output 10,000 liters an hour. If we look at this guy, who can output nothing because the tanks are full. So this is kind of one of the interesting things, that it's a bug that has been reported. So this guy can handle 10,000 liters in, and I think the same amount out. But you'll notice that the pumps behind me are running, which take power, and the processor, this is the water purifier here, that is taking water. You can see the water flow. We are flowing 10,000 liters, but if we look over here, we're 0 out. 0 out, right? So nothing coming out, but we're still taking 10,000 liters in. So where is all that water going? Nobody knows. So I believe this to be a bug. Personally, I think that it should shut down when the tanks that are connected to it, which is to say 0 flow, it should shut off, but it doesn't. So it continues to use power. How much? How much power? 8 kilowatts of power. Even though I'm not sure what's going on here. Really have no idea. So obviously this is running. This one over here is running, but it's not actually producing anything because the tanks are already full. So, bug, I would say. But here's what we're doing. So we have 2 pumps. They are one on, one off, which we can see is the same over here, one on, one off, because 10,000 liters in, 10,000 liters out, which means one pump can completely saturate your water purifier. So you really only need the one saltwater pump. There are 4 down here, which means if you really wanted to, you could actually run 4 independent water purifiers. There are 3 bays here. 3 bays, 4 pumps, hot dogs and hot dog buns. So I actually did build one once with 4. I just put it over here. But why? So 10,000 liters an hour, which means within an hour you've completely filled up the Lazarus rack. So, you know, how much water do you need? Tanks, right? In this case, each of these tanks is actually 8,000 liters. So every tank up there on the racks, now this is with mods, every tank up there on the rack is 8,000 liters, which means I'm just shy of my 10,000 that I need per human, which isn't too bad. The nice thing is that 20,000 liters between the 2 of these, each of course independent sides, they keep up quite nicely. So power down, because you need power down here. I threw batteries down here just because, so you can see these guys are still working. even though all the power lines and in fact all the water lines are snafu at this point. All right, so cleaned up everything, of course, but 2 water purifiers separated out both of the pumps. So 2 pumps and 2 pumps. You can see how these are connected, and then all of them connected on a common electric bus. So 2 and 2, which then separate out into 1 and 1, which separate out into the 2 sides. So you can see this guy actually coming over and then going straight across to these tanks, and then this tank feeds this line going up. So 1 line, which was the original, I used to only have 1 going up, and then when I really truly expanded down here, then I put the 2nd water purifier in, and then did a completely separate stack of tanks, well, which is to say I separated the 3 and 3. So you can see how this used to not be here, and then this just plugged directly into that. So adding this in was really not that complicated. The challenge, of course, was you only have 1 pass-through for water going through the bulkhead, which means now I have to go around. Now, the interesting thing about the update, you can now run your lines through the door, and they'll actually close. So they no longer interact with the pipes, plumbing, conduits, anything like that. So power goes through the door. I'll call it System 1 for the sake of calling it something, and System 2, which then has to go on the outside. You can see the power comes over here, goes to the thingy on the floor, but doesn't go anywhere else. And this side of things, which I presume is from updates. So I'm guessing something changed in the updates, which then anything that was in the way was taken out. Now does this maybe something under this? Nope, I guess it's pretty close down to the floor. All right, so this, I will fix this off camera, but the idea was 2 independent systems going up to the main floor, which unfortunately is not quite there anymore. So this is one of my complaints. If you have a multi-floor elevator, it seems like you would want buttons that would take you to that floor. So what I do is push the up button, because up, and then I just have to stop it when I'm just above the floor, jump off, and then I push the call button, which then brings the elevator to the floor that, this one, where I want to be. So again, I will fix all of this off camera. Thankfully, it is only that track, so everything else remained intact. Kind of interesting from the perspective, yeah. So we'll just fix those up because they're there. It's kind of interesting because you have dual pass-throughs for both electric and water up here. And there's nothing here. It's not like you can get water from somewhere else. So it seems like there would be a dual pass-through for both down below. So I don't know. Don't know why they designed it quite that way. So up here, still good to go. Got those tanks look to be full. These tanks look to be full. So even without the pumps connected down there, obviously a fairly simple fix, just a matter of stringing water lines. But I do have to go. I've got a bunch of water lines down on the boat. So rather than making them up here, I should make them up here because I have just a boatload of parts up here. Might as well make them up here, but I've also got a lot of spares down there on the boat. So can do either one. All right, so how did I do this? So into the tank, out of the tank, into the water supply. You can see the battery is actually very similar. So the battery pulls off of the main supply, whatever that is. I've got this basically going all the way around the room in both directions. So basically pull off the most convenient area, everything interconnected. So the power that goes, in this case, down to the pumps comes off right here, and then just off to the side. So this is one of the few areas where I've actually just strung right down the middle, because you're really not hauling stuff up and down this particular path. Then this goes all the way around, obviously interconnects, so we can see the travel of the little light rings are bringing power from the roof down, so that's our main source of power. We also see power coming out of here. Power or water? Power. Which likely is from the solars and batteries down on the dock, because this is going out to the dock. So also a dual water, dual power, so you could actually string an awful lot of power and water up from below if you wanted to do something. The downside is that would be entirely from your boat. Right now in this update, there is no way to build a saltwater pump. So, you know, ideally you would have maybe a saltwater pump or something down there on the dock, because there is actually a lot of room on the sides. So building a saltwater pump down there and then have an alternative source of water comparative to the ones over here. So there's some options there, but it just seems to me odd that you would have you know, the duals here on the deck. But this, at least, you could conceivably source, you know, 2 lines up from your boat if you wanted to. So this is that water line that comes in and of course just ties on. And then the red button, so it is turned off. So right now it is not feeding either one, but it would connect the 2 systems through the same line. Each Lazarus rack has a tank, like we went over before, and a battery, and it basically is the battery connects onto the main bus, main electric bus, and then feeds the Lazarus rack independently, and that's true of water as well. So what I've done here in the middle, of course, we have both the systems coming from over here. And just like we outlined before, this is going to that tank and that tank, which is powering or supplying these 2 racks. And then the same thing is true with electricity, other than it's a total ring bus. So all of my electric sources tie into this complete ring that goes all the way around this area. And then I just pull off power at the closest place. So again, battery attaches onto the bus and then powers the Lazarus racks independently. All right, I guess all that is left is to go up to the roof. I think I've done everything. Yep, I don't think there's anything else down here. So let's go ahead and go up to the roof, and we'll see what that looks like up there. Again, the roof really becomes, so we see the water line that goes all the way up, and this is literally to supply water to the roof for the planters, because I really do want to eventually do the planters. Now this was a weird thing I discovered on the ladder. You have no way to grind anything down, so once you put it up, it's up. So oops, didn't want to do that. And then of course water and power, in this case going down. So eventually you want to do this. This is probably your initial your boat is probably the initial power source, and then this becomes your secondary power source. Then you discover the balcony, convert that becomes your tertiary. But when you eliminate the boat out of that, then this becomes your primary, and then the balcony there becomes your secondary. In my case, I built, the boatload of solar panels down there on the dock, which means that is always supplying power in either direction. You can see these here. We're getting into the evening hours now, it looks like. So this will stop, other than the fact that I do have a couple batteries here. So water line comes out. I tried to just keep it up off the ground, which is kind of pointless because this is going over here. So we have all the angels up here. I think there are 3 or 4 of 4, it looks like. So I see 3 over here. And then 1 is kind of hovering, not doing anything. I'm not sure why that is. I've seen these bug out. So the white ones here are the originals. So again, 3 rods, as far as I can tell, will bring them down. Maybe 4. So it depends on how good of a shot. If you hit it, midline, then you might get it with 3. So this originally, I believe this side was the wind turbines. I have put 4 rows of Lumimax, so 12 total on this side. These are all strung together. And then I also run over here, which was the original power over here. So for those of you who are new, you're seeing this Lazarus-Complex for the first time. There's something different about the one building. So you have all of these different buildings, these great big huge buildings. So here is this one that just looks like it doesn't belong. I'm guessing the devs did that on purpose, but you need to know where that is, because that is your initial power connection right there. So ultimately you need to string power over to that guy. Now on the plus side, you also have a recycler and a fabricator in here. So these are the ones that you will initially be using. They will be your just lifeblood. But it is a challenge. You have to really do your power management. If you did not come in here with any materials or anything, which most people don't, myself included, you are literally collecting materials that are up here on the roof, recycling them, getting the materials you need. Eventually you get all of your cyclones, I believe they're all cyclones, repaired. And then once they're repaired, you're providing power to the building here, and then repair the solars, and then add them in, and then eventually you take all of that power once you're pretty stable, and pipe it downstairs. So it can be a challenge. So power management is your friend. So originally 3 batteries up here. You can see these are the original 3 batteries that are still here. Recycler and fabricator, and you will use the heck out of these, let me tell you. The good news is you also have a save station and a healing station. There are a lot of things up here, a lot of enemies that you will have to, how shall we say, expunge from the rooftop, taking it over from their possession. So anyway, all the stuff here. I really just have a basic spattering of materials up here. Once you're set up and everything is happy, you really are not going to use a lot of materials up here. The only change that I will do, I did it in my original game, have not done it in this one yet. I basically put a row of planters down the center here. Why Lazarus? Well, ultimately those, if I understood everything correctly, your coffee beans become part of food. All of my food production is right here, which means this is the only place logically where I would be making food anyway, so it makes sense. Plus, I mean, it's a big roof, so you can spread out your trees. You do need a certain amount of room. I don't know how much, but you do need a certain amount of room to grow your trees. So I think I had 12 or so up here. I spread them out enough, and of course every planter needs water. It needs 100 liters of water. I don't know what the rate is. I'm guessing per hour. It seems that most everything is per hour. So 100 liters per hour, which means 12 of them is now 1,200 liters per hour. So not a big deal, but if you consider 10,000 liters is the supply, so I'm using a bit over 10%. So I'm using 12% of my water up here on the roof that is not available for the Lazarus racks. So something to keep in mind. In my case, I'm pulling it off of one system, so one system still has 10,000 liters per hour available. The other system is going to have, what does that work out to be, 8.8, so 8,800 liters per hour rather than the 10,000. So, for what that's worth. All right, so this is the one side. This is basically a mirror. These are very dense, so there is the shadow issue. At the certain when your sun is high in the sky, then these are all producing at pretty much 100%. But when you're getting into the either morning hours or evening hours, then obviously there's shadows and they're not doing so well. All right, on this side also Lumimaxes, the same four rows of 3. So 12 over here as well. So how you interconnect these, this is my OCD at work. I put down a extender, extender for every one of these, and then I pick a convenient junction. In this case it was at this end. But these also come around and go up because that's where we go down. Another basketball area here. This is actually a really good basketball area. So the problem on most of the platforms with the basketball area is if you lose your basketball, it's going to go over. And this here, your basketball, I mean, you have to be really, really talented to make it bounce and go over the rail over here. So the balls are actually too tall to fit underneath, so they have to bounce, and they actually don't bounce really well. So, the possibility of losing your basketball is, in fact, minimum. All right, so that is the roof. We have the 2 big solar farms. So you see those just swung all the way around. But unfortunately there is the shadow, so only those front 3 are really doing it, and then these are in the shadow of the building because I think the sun arcs this way. So these guys actually do really, really well over the course of the day, and then these guys really only do it well when the sun is at the full height. So. All right, 2 more tanks here for the water. Plumbed everything in, ready to go. So I will probably do the same thing here eventually, is put the planters down the center here, because what else am I going to use this space for? So the water is all ready to go, including 2 tanks that are here supplying 4,000 liters of water at beck and call. Or if you're using the mod, 16,000 liters. So, all right, so that's the roof. I won't, no reason to go back down and do anything else. I think we have done the entire tour from the bottom all the way up. So obviously there's 1,000 different ways, 100,000 different ways that you can really set things up. This is the way I set things up. I'm with a lot of OCD folk that I really hate seeing cables and piping and all that sort of thing going over other stuff, but in a complex this size, it's really hard not to. So you're going to have those clashes where, you know, the pipes just phase through each other and that sort of thing, and you know, it's unfortunately it's just one of those things that we have to endure. Um, so that is the tour of the Lazarus Complex. I wish you all the best of luck with everything. Once again, Merry Christmas. This is Kenty Tiger signing off, and we'll catch you next time.